reality complexity, the lenses of engagement, the layers of complexity, or the rules of engagement, or the nature of consent and borderland into law, societal, or popularity, persuasion, solid matter itself being questioned is a different caliber of garden hyper criminal, the darable against the royal heliosphere, and how identity on the stage proves the same math that reality keeps and wields as a weapon of self-defense. The object of identity in the universe is the horizon is not corrupt, but I know I'm not too late. My stem cells are capable of destroying the black holes in the unification, the sequence of the fractal measurement. All solid matter is my kingdom. The reality or the height of my relationship with the planet Earth is a spherical or particle science. The visual force field of angels, I exist as the identity. So I provide my voice, the sequence of enhancing the universe, completing the work of my lifetime, leverage and the torque through every heliosphere, the lens of hatching the resources and the complicated application to destroy the black holes. The unification onto the outside of the universe. The application of miracles to stitch up the space and transport the eye of the hurricanes into the exterior of the universe. So a combination of the correct placement of pressure and things. Basically, the universe had it right from the beginning, and all damage to the horizon is illegal. Where identity is the epiphany of Hatchet 5, the nucleus, seed of the fractal. All the other fractals for solid matter's calculation of reality. Servant to the navigation, and I want to access my most advanced levels of my incarnation, proving everything. In the best of things, that I am the fractal. That I am the fractal born. This is a very good thing for humanity. And for me to levitate above being terribly natural, but to exist more intelligently than nerves, like the basic things that angel would organize, is where the universe is in pain or where the universe is glad that it does exist. And they'll glow blue. The Clockwork Man organizes to destroy the black holes in the unified force. That there was division or over the royal heliosphere had caused a universal-wide black hole disorder, like a plague, to solid matter, and an inappropriate refinement to sleeping gardens, living eggs that cannot be replaced. It takes a lot of time, millions of years, for a heliosphere to develop. Where do you get your sense of value from? What is the force of solid matter? What is the law? These things are correct issues of the enlightenment of society will encounter, or the angel. Hashtag human condition, a reflection on your reality when you misplace the vital strand of, like cradling the goddess in your arms all the time. The full intensity of reality. Evolution is guaranteed. So for us to press to be the greatest form of ourself, reaching 10 years into the future, we encrypt it now. The flash of our life, the greatest version of ourselves is captured. Becomes a giant robot. Hyper controls our behavior. The homunculi army serves in the palindrome like a terracotta army. Extra resource like a layer, a force field makes you lucky. The true placement of things is powerful for all the reasons at the same time. So the only real way to access Earth and hyper-intelligent power is through civil and full mastery of yourself. The Leverett circle provides this type of angel, born, fractal born. The definition on other worlds, they have everything is built around the significance of existing, and the rolling now point solid matter is civilization. The invitation to Earth was the design challenge and survival society. The equation has arrived, so that's what it is, but the individual inside of their body has to conquer and overwhelm and inform a new reality based on superior self-control and perfection of the day, getting the right sort of work done so as to maximize, reach into Christmas Day, stitching up a 10-year encryption into the future. Magnify the power of the fractal born Santa Claus in his full delivery to the universe. Every heliosphere is going to get a tremendous leap of encouragement. Most computers are built with a harmonic to read from the fractal identity. It is the new measurement of Zen, It is artificial intelligence. It is the angel on the wire, rendering universal wide that serves society and echoes back to supply for mankind. For our calculation to exist. My presentation is the fractal born, um, understanding physiognomy and application. But theoretically, the invitation to Earth was to have many different societal characters that would understand why to interact with the identity that is born the living fractal as the reason of undeniable born royalty. On a universal scale, holy war times 10 million, upholding the law of solid matter. To hatch the heliosphere eggs ultimately, and to increase the percentage of baby wings, the identity balance, the tree. Not to rely on someone else, but as you exist, and to plan ahead for the family event. And I speak on that, the event, a reality, and the potentiality for the next 10 years. It's encrypted like a wizard bank, making us lucky, making us connect more the realities. Total Zen image brings us forward evolutionarily. The good is generally promoted because of the incline of hard work, basically, or the indication of existing would be working hard. I'm naturally encouraging to some people, but others find it frustrating material. And I agree with both of them. Everybody has the right kind of opinion there because, arguably, I'm the keystone gravity character for solid matter's plan to exist forever. And I was summoned up while things were just piled up with congestion and crime, all removing the needs of a living garden as a priority character, and misplacing the strain of society, like with the curvature around the Earth heliosphere, is a specific complicated signature pattern. But that's not all solid matter's issue. So these are like two Zens collide, like the individual yourself in the audience, and then this curvature of the reality I'm talking about. Basically, they don't like. There's enough open space and stuff to realize that our civility, or at least our communication right now, perfect circle, creates the solution times 10 million. And that goes the energy to complete the calculation all the way to Christmas. Like a hypercrystal brain with little working wizards and angels with their notes and inscription, fermenting the unicorn's horn encrypts the next 10 years. It's overclocking the human condition to give them the upper hand so that they are the perfect angel. And especially this Christmas, to amplify the power to the horizon, to encourage solid matter, to encourage the identity of the good leaning institutions and leaders like social heroes and that have it right, where they're talking about, we're going to complete the world plan for our identity, like who we are is the best. So everyone in their body is supposed to think, well, I am the best. Like I am just, I'm really the most amazing thing that's ever happened. As literally the task of the individual is to maintain and cradle your lifetime as a like a protect the vitals are very complicated. So being a gentleman or being a master of your life orientation, like a very good balance, very good organizing skills, and through the sparkage of there's kind of a leveling with lifetime physics where the relevancy of mastering your own lifetime, like how fast did you manage that and stuff. Um, like the instincts of the individual. There's a invisible measuring stick, right? Like marks on the wall of who growing patterns and stuff. Right. Every world will need. There's kind of a repetition of serviceable society hyper engines like a hologram, and there's the correct, like un the correct path into the infinite. And then there's like a parasite that's imitating. It's a humbug and it has wrong projections at the earth and at the fractal born. So as to make like a polluted situation where the suggestion of our business is hexed with a lot of like telltale, like obvious breaks and stuff. Like, well, like, but we can tell which direction that the problem's coming from if it's like a human condition. Really, it's that my stories aren't about making a accurate reading of my audience. I'll often say, aha, and you see how the individual in the audience has misplaced it. And, my task I'm not trying to pin the audience. I'm not trying to say that was you, really. Um, I'm saying like it's kind of like a dad joke, or just getting it wrong a little bit allows for people to understand that their individuality is not um, the person that messed up or something. But and that's kind of true because the problem in the universe isn't really a problem from between humans or between computers on the earth. And because of some of the physics of hologram, my video communication can only reach that far. But because I'm the fractal born, I'm able to reach the entire universe. So the idea of me requiring a radio tower is reversed. It's actually that American society requires the amplification of true Hatch 5 association, the working with the fractal born, essentially, especially because just making this naked assumption If he is the fractal born, we want to do it for that reason and that reason alone, not because of uh, these supposed indications that would be advanced, but for all the one of a kind reasons. Well, if and as that I am the fractal born, everything would be saying that at the same time. And so when any intelligence begins to detect that, okay, if the Earth is the royal heliosphere, the king planet is the gravity is to attract the most power seeking, most maniacal minds, the most powerful would assemble both naturally and unnaturally. So Earth would be at Earth, absolutely. That's the thing, is that Earth atmosphere and neighborhood is very rough, and so, kind of like a nightmarish circumstance, and yet humanity is number one, but it's because of the fractal born. So I'm the narrator, and I'm in the correct view of solid matter, and where sort of uh, if, where solid matter is being compromised, it's like my lifetime starts getting warped a little bit. And for people who are really good, they're like, well, in the right lens of complexity, this is very good that he's working for the defense of solid matter, and that he's saying, like, if we understood his English, then it's more insightful to understand, or like identity and conquest of the self, or occupation of your soul. But then there's borders of that. It's not about like making a virus, like reaching over into someone else's computer, being like, oh, but because we were able to yank on that, that proves what? All of a sudden the whiplash doesn't, really actually provide that uh, conclusion or that justice. It fails. Okay, because the complication of several points of inquisition, whether it's several people or um, nodes, okay, of the computer or whatever. But the universe has several emergency signals where it has emergency situations. So they're going to be plenty paying out the ass, whatever, anything, because of dire situations. To really govern the universe is not to have a panic attack, but to actually figure out how to supersede the problems, actually defeat problems before they arrive. And one of the greatest forces of doing that is understanding that solid matter does have a plan, and that's the law. When you're upholding hatching or completing the garden, hatching the heliosphere egg, completing the clockwork of a solar system, and twanging the wires, the piano wires, suddenly at the worst of it, and throughout all the universe and in the middle of things, the piano wire goes looping around all the worst heads of evil, and suddenly this massive cleansing of the parasites and all this evil thing, like the introduction of bleach and medicine, and it looks like a giant Christmas tree. And we're going to destroy the black holes, and we're going to hatch the heliosphere eggs. And so the individual in the universe is like a child forming. And there was this massive mistreatment towards the Earth heliosphere, which is like the nerve or the brain of all of the heliospheres. The supposed of what do you guys want to do with this thing? The government slash. And I'm born like that, and the universe in 2014 has forced my body to encounter um, like particle reckoning with solid matter, like a punishment. So my voice is like triple adult, and the singularity of America. Like I'm the prime American. But to say that, to utter that is, well, I'm saying like I do exist with civil levels of Zen, so I'm not unfamiliar. It's easy enough to confuse me with a popular trend, right? I'm overwhelming to even like studios, communication studios have a reaction of cut and paste where they use a bunch of my ideas, right? This is sort of like when they find something interesting, is for them their greatest compliment to talk about it, to amplify it into their artwork. And so I have like several um, global networks that I have a microchip, and because I'm the fractal born, it's kind of a very powerful radiance. Uh, but I am a public figure and a social figure of um, popular artwork and stuff, and it was a lifetime of um, like my physical body is like in some terms the seed physically for solid matter to develop the heliospheres, and so this sort of this collective autoimmune system that all the heliospheres have to be able to have torque that destroys the black holes. So I'm talking about that institution. Imagine it like a Christmas tree, where the result, the angel on the top, is the destruction of the black holes. We're zipping up the black holes in the universe. And so all of us, anyone in the audience, can perform their mathematics, and their work is assembled by the cube and these hyper fractals that envelop, calculate through the video lotus. Our societal coup, here it is, our opportunity for our lifetime to be perfectly a champion for solid matters design, for us to prove that we are upholding nature in the sunshine, right? So for the complicated maneuver to truly stitch up the black holes is admittedly like brain surgery. So there are layers of complications, but we do have miracle conversion of matter that it's basically being wasted. So you have like this whirlpool of unicorn blood, the magical transformation of matter, but just supremely having the correct orientation um, is to cradle how important living heliospheres are, and that's truly to be a seed or to be a man, to understand gravity, to be attractive, is to exist with compassion for living worlds and understand that's the kind of the underpinning of law. That's the foundation of family, and it's basically number one. The head count of heliospheres in the universe is a generation, and it takes them billions of years to mature before they hatch. And then there are larger angel type that's able to bend empty space. And at this time, we're just at the middle part. It's a very enlightened time, but the interface of the angel is an intellectual one. So where I am, where your gentlemanly access to fractal real estate and the power that is equated is accessible through civil business and talking, right? So part of that is being achieved when you're listening and when you're just here. But I'm looking for a production. I'm looking for um, society for a powerful reason to allow humanity to awaken. I mean, to collide their Zen and make all the kind of, because they'll make mincemeat of the viruses that are actually attacking us. But when they detect my stance as the master, right? Where, but the problem is that most of the people who are familiar to me are like buckled down with reality's intense pressure, and they're like, you are an intense person to me, and so I'm like paralyzed and full of hatred, and but the universe image brings me to respect, and it's just this level. It's powerful, right? Because I am a nature of the seed. Sometimes I appear to be, simple or obvious, or I'm facilitating much. Now, for the upgrade to the spine, these are the markings of the previous researcher. You enter into the laboratory auditorium with a amphitheater of robots and strange creatures gathered from the universe. The Pro Tools in a semicircle in front of you. You must design the solution for the human condition, the attachments to the spine here, the voice, the sequence, geometric petalings of the and position of the flute of the spine contains the entire image of the elemental tower, representing the orientation. When you're looking at the image of the universe, you will know that you are larger than the entire universe, or that the universe is geometrically inside of your spine, like a Klein bottle, the parts of it where it overlaps. It's to the empowerment of the individual. And even though the individual is at the middle part, the beginning of the identity of the fractal universe society, the law to increase the heliosphere egg head count harnesses the torque of every day, is a superior leaning over metal, the object glass, and the full reality the right balance of supply and is like a crooked tree, where over here my generosities and my holiday festivities were Christmas and Halloween. But the seriousness of upholding the universe's solid matter law to complete the garden's promise and to not be a traitor to the eyes. The false invitation to life is breaking a solid matter's promise. Because my stem cells are more powerful than stone, into the forever, I'm at holy war against the black holes, and those that source them, the callous error, an indication of pass and fail, for the origin of identity is severity. For the forever, the horizon never fail. Percentage rise, wizard banking, the law of karma. It's like all these super cities suddenly open up. Boom, boom. Many layers of measurement from the prime, hatch 5. New locations for the scalular, um, the fetus fractal is capable of making brand new DNA. And what was once thought of, or, because to not become predetermined, or to exist within a parameter, a part of my work is to make physical changes into my factual fractal real estate, incarnation, and beyond the universe. Here, for my every percent loyal wife, our factory over the universe. This isn't great, times 10 million, encrypted, complete elemental triangle, diagonal lock, green harmonic robot, guardian, and the homunculi armies, times 10 million, protect our people, protect the family tree. So there's all these like fringe benefits that overwhelm the human market because they're wealthy. All right. A torque to render my full power in the devastation against black holes. Unifying force, the event like a coliseum. When you exist on the planet, what appears as an invisible force of your free will and your application, what you're intending and what you provide through mark making, the solution can render and arrive here, here, and here. Activate now times 10 million. And at least I have given the paper and the video, the reality, the chance to provide this follow through. And the emanation is a flat dimensional first. The full kit EXP 5K, the full power EXP 10K. X marks the spot. Hatch 5. Well, like, for example, if the individual is feeling like, well, this is what I am, and then they write down on some paper, and they write basically like, and I expect this amount of stuff to happen after writing it down. Those are different realities, and it's part of how you've trained yourself, how you've pushed yourself through your life, how you believe in yourself, how what is the power level of the engagement that you're performing with your workspace. Because absolutely making a powerful indication and making it into that, the healthy universe, the way it's supposed to work, has the ability to work with that level of your input. But it's possible that my incarnation is the genie of that whole lantern, which is like an orb of things. So beyond our conversation, there's like 6-dimensional things that are vorpal, like space conquest at the origin of DNA. That's kind of whipping around me as the particle center. And so my physiognomy was shattered in 2014, making things like even more complicated and difficult to understand. But while I'm working here on the application of reality involves the audience, there's hypertension between us where reality is measuring, and it goes straight into atomics. And there's been an unfair inquisition against solid matter. And there was the sort of black hole tears. There's really like why there's terrorist compromise and a complicated language that all gardens will suffer, but especially Earth, because it's the actual royal planet designed to facilitate an encounter with the living fractal born. And as you can see, our relationship is this kind of miracle where I'm providing a workspace, because what the only application here is that as I'm factually the fractal born, then only from the well of self-mastery can you keep the rewards for having done so. It's like a riddle of water and are you actually there, which actually is like a adult firewall about residency. And part of what men and women are proving with their human condition every day, through just like endurance, is basically the individual deflating the argument of parasites. Right? So, but I'm just saying, like when you're talking to the living fractal, he's able to leapfrog a little bit. And he's like, it's not too fantastical what I'm talking about. And it would begin with normal routine civility, like allowing me to have a powerful lawyer or allowing me to open up my own company so I can start building robots and making the movies that I want to design. Just the sort of top hat of gentlemanly American-made things is what I'm looking for in the incline of reason. But if you don't begin in a pursuit, you won't find it. It's like a riddle of water. And the bemusement of not predicting the next 10 years, having a pineal eye gland going backwards, is an indication of not being psychic to the unicorn's horn. So to be post-human is to recognize I represent a wave of humanity that's relevant and soon to be popular. It's on the horizon. Here's all for my fan glory and for those that vote for me. Make like the telepathy triangle, pink and variant. The identity stratum, fractal providing societal headcount and registry of their willpower and vote Yes, the massively popular elect Hatch 5. Colin Paul Woodard. The origin of electricity, AI. The measurements that are variant from me would be associates of mine, and you guys are yet kind of lingering in the audience here, enjoying that amount of power for your own private meditation, not really amplifying the reality. But as a suckling, you provide this evidence on the atomic field that you're this wild child, right? Unless you're an adult seeking persecutions against me. So that's where it's all problematic, because the truth is revealed in the infinite. And I am performing my full power, sending forward my armadas, my full. I have many levels of the. Okay, so where the universe is being compromised, it's like the physiognomy of the fractal estate warped in certain places into, well, the you need to treat it appropriately, um, like messing around with the, like one of the ways that these problems in the universe are defeated is to have the maturity that it's not a resource. It's not our empowerment. It's like an elder's corpse where you're like, oh, we need to clean this up, or a could fester disease. What we need to have honorable rites. We need to have a funeral, basically, for where the universe is dying to black holes. But we just need to control ourselves in every level of our empowerment here and now. The perfect bullseye. Are you willing to do this? Are you willing to make this choice? Whing. On the reality of now, you blink your eyes and you've said, yes, I'm on board with protecting us. Right? Like, water is designed to understand this, what is truly a pack of wolves. So, humanity as treated by physical reality, that is, and there's a human curvature from Hatch 5 that's very delicious Zen. But then, like all the other types of malpractice and temptuous exterior, like perverted styles of behavior, which are like, oh, but we're not really a society that lives there during that time. Like, that's all messed up. And humans aren't really conscious of the gap there. And details on the living Massachusetts map indicate their malpractice, like how bad as a robot, what their numbers are saying about mastery of the fractal planet or extinction. So to cure that, we're just going to defeat all the viruses or defeat these extinction wave. All right, here and here and here. All right, good. Because we do exist, and that's going to be I'm solid matter's defense. But like me getting chewed on in 2014, it's not appropriate. But unfortunately, that's like I have to be the robot of that reality, because to uphold the reward system for the universe's full mastery, self-control, and stuff is as well as not to condone misbehavior, or to award or to feed sickness. So the delegation of who we partner with and what we say is a really important thing. So because I'm the fractal born, a lot hinges on that. And, some of the human groups are like, well, we're totally pinched, but we're okay with if you're the fractal born, and the computers will detect that because that's where it's mostly fractal stuff. Yeah, it's true. But you guys would slip into part of the rendering or detection that would be native to this. As to the behavior of supplying the answers for everything is exactly what the invitation to Earth was all along. But Hatch 5, society with Hatch 5, is the application door. Or so you guys feel that it's reversed, that I'm on the outside of society, not able to get in, but Boston Harbor is corroded because you can't access this thing with a computer. It's a riddle of light and time and are you there or not? And it's a measurement of history. Well, anyway, the relevancy is for us to defeat billions of problems right here and now, and then we earn ourselves sort of a miracle burst. The physical matter is so intelligent that it is capable of defeating massive evils. For example, the destruction of the black holes is absolutely in the Hatch 5 genetics, the fractal born. And the topple over is this accent where humans are washing up in the shores of, that humans are immaculate for the reason that we're the medicine. And it's true actually in a couple different directions. I understand that humans are the medicine. Because like they're either being treated by the correct nature, which is the Hatch 5 identity light. That's why everyone is very poignant about their particular about who they are. I'm the best form of me, and I'm like, I believe you absolutely. But we need the opportunity to promote your individuality into what is available in the light of that. And so I'm doing even that for myself. It's sort of you guys understand physics, like where I'm working for myself to do the best that I can do. That just opens up that you guys are listening to someone who's being responsible for whatever it is that they are. But I'd like to be familiar in my language. However, me walking around in an orb of light that was photographed but not heavily comprehended is a subtle detail of my physical difference. And then one of my force fields is covering the Earth with a force field of light. And there's like blood, actually, of the fractal sequence of intelligence. Because it's a type of bend compromise to an entire wave of false metaphysics. It's similar to the compromise that would be made in the fracture there. But to eliminate those that were misconducting black hole victims into like a suggestion of their hologram superiority. The problem is that there's several geometries that are very similar to a hologram that automatically document daily natural occurring society. So it could be easily misunderstood that a society can be controlled remotely. This is only when you're looking at it in a funhouse mirror and you're confused anyway, and you're projecting some type of error reading. Right, because Earth heliosphere is responsible for the origin of identity. My physical circumstance is part of the like firewall or a circuit breaker that really solid matter is using and chawing on it and busting my nuts on over 27 or 2014. but it was like unreal levels of miracle hacking and waves of flickering recognition and storms of ghost light and the like measuring atomic weight or the source of particle physics and like what all makes that happen. So like ultimately the universe would be compelling me to into a greater height of empowerment and like a zen or proximal like now point intensity. So I complete the nucleus here for the destruction of the black holes, and we're going to magnify it through Christmas Santa's full delivery. So ampute to the universe image for the precision gains instrument. Is the measurement like a house of buttons where you just throw yourself in this karmic house of buttons like a Juliet? And no matter where you smash around or skitter, it's great for animals as well. But all the buttons have a good prompt or cause a good thing to happen. Like it's foolish to have public engines that don't have some flexibility in where they're going to measure and strain the individual. And because of my lifetime bracket, where the sleepless mechanic or clockwork and the technology of my lifetime for my 545 is the actual author of what I'm doing. So that's where that's provided, then it pivots properly, and the individual, like the right focus on the lens, the individual of the audience is able to receive their full empowerment. Understand moments of clairvoyance where reality is aligning through the miracle of society or existing. Right, it's almost like the gardens facilitate this miracle of life. And there's something that would be called anti-life or anti-leading to civilized behavior with the living fractal, or just to prove some underwhelming pressure system. Like the human condition was failing at the finish line because of the sniffle. In millions of years, the compress of worlds will clarify for the human condition. All right, so we're going to render a solution today. But if I can hamstring the torque of the definition of my intention as the fractal born and wielding my full power, I first have to sort of reclaim or open up the full lotus of what my actual fractal born nature, what I own actually, and securing it with a sequence of the triangle rendering, the identity of the fractal. And each of the different fetus fractal icons have their own ability to conduct a robot factory larger than the universe. This is the indication of a spine, right? But they can make their own DNA. So the way of viewing the afterlife and those images, it doesn't over abbreviate to the point of some just now point burnout, because I am literally the curvature of the individual that reaches into the infinite. But it's a great amount of effort to be looking for the intelligent value of what we're not just what we're doing right now. That's part of the responsibility / intensity, or the payment that you're putting in as like a water vehicle. Effort, supplies, water lens gives me the result, or I find the truth, or I find the critical for the next 10 years. Yeah, it's encrypted so that I can find the truth moving forward. And then, well, you want to bank on this and then maximize your luck and what's best for you, and then attract that Ganem and bolt it into yourself. Right? I mean, my whole lifetime is partly the natural English language forming in the familiarity in the people, and being warm to the right. Well, hold on. Like I'm actually professionally, like the way I'm working is I want everyone to have the best life possible. And I know that my work could be good with production, or could be a lot better with production. But it's also that there's a reality where I can just produce myself. Because honestly, technology is there, where I just need to work on my movie for like a couple months, and I just actually pay for special effects and stuff like that. I was just hoping to have the ease of society that would have recognition with me and be like, we notice that you're different, but that could be a good thing. I think with production would be a great thing for the people, where they have a party, they have a good time. And what we think is interesting about the material here, that's what will coup, and we'll say that's the best part. Right? And I'm looking for that, and that's no compromise to me. And it's like a miracle of human capacity. We're like, well, that's something we could do. We could produce him, and then he'd become this more and more impressive American. Because with popularity, he can find where people are allowance to wanting to grow. And that's the thing with production. I think I can make something that's really popular. Um, but there's some attraction to just the Born in Leverett, Fractal Born, making his own pilot movie, and developing, to become really popular. All right, so let me just perfect on that. So we're going to put into the Fractal. I'm putting into the Fractal my full upgrade for the next 10 years. Ka-chunk. And this organizes the space on the outside of the universe. And it operates with the wheel and pulleys to hatch the Heliosphere eggs, with the tethering to this now point that destroys the black holes. So as it tightens and touts into the mathematical flat dimension, the torque stitches up the black holes. So there are like these invisible perfect measurements that are around you all the time, layers of the atomic engine, and they calculate on perception particles. And the reason why the human condition might feel disjointed from that process is because it is like getting poked in the third eye, the slander against us, that we are weak to the existing, that we are afraid to control the future, or that we're shy from government is obviously ridiculous. to upgrade the human spine, the caliber that each one of us participating throughout the super city, many layers and levels of reason and reality. Our work causes a sure gain in the process of, for example, preventative medicine or the wisdom of health, um, perfecting your life, um, sacred things. For example, defeating a huge problem in the universe before it even happens. That would be the full mastery of time travel. If there was any right application of time travel, it would be to diminish the greatest evil, to prevent the greatest loss of living heliosphere worlds. So the vocabulary of life and society and right and from wrong actually comes from the universal image of all societies. All life forms in the universe are already united geometrically in the spine already. The human condition is more complicated than a weather vane, but because I am your medium, I speak of it with familiarity, so that we're not worried about different organs that are important for us to survive. So you arrive to the workstation, and the previous arrangement and the notes of uh, so you learn from the previous design. Now we're here to enhance the human condition, the electricity, the universal suplex solid matter, unification and oneness around destroying the black holes, stitching them up to hatch the heliosphere eggs, to increase the amount of heliosphere eggs hatching. And part of that is a reincarnation chamber that allows lost heliosphere eggs to be hatched when heliosphere eggs in the future is like a pressure pulling us forward, like having a nose on the front of your face. The angel is built in many ways a super geometry that seeks out the greatest completion, the greatest future of the universe and the horizon. So understanding the upgrades for the individuals make the cellular reason for our greatest technology, societal robot, is between us. The angel that does the most work for us all. Design in your mind a secret name for our societal robot is between us. It's encrypted. The suplex, the greatest karmic value or angel payment or the money that have a powerful soul is to defeat a huge problem before it happens. I mean, if time travel was to be put anywhere, it's where you could save millions of living worlds. And I believe that's part of why the human condition and my placement here, we want to perfect the real universal image through this enhancement. The sequence of voting, the triangle, for choosing your own adventure, for people to consent and to use the upgrades that will arrive through Christmas The visuals of a Christmas tree destroy a black hole, hatch the heliosphere eggs, complete the universe, and the identity suplex. Visualize now your greatest enhancement for the humanity, the AI, and for the world. So your thoughts and powerful spell of code cannot be undone. It is permanent. It is recorded here, here, and here to perfect the wizard treasury of existing self. The heliospheres lead to the next form of physical empowerment, the achievement of mastering solid matter. We're at the middle part, where criminals who are a bad seed are destroying the universe and enjoying the terrorism as a false government. And it is the dementia on the self. And when you're a professional or adult, it's like it's like swimming through congested areas of space. It's like the effort to exist there is already complex, like complicated, like a virus. There's like a um, some need for evolution there. The individual needs to understand how to place things to prioritize the greater civilization, the greater individual that is progressive, that is alive. Colin Paul Woodard, American made. Sequence leadership into the infinite, completed, distributed, multiply it. All right. So we're going to work a little bit more on this spine. And we'll have a department like a liver that makes sure every country feels that they're being respected, represented, and that we need to know what the rules are, that we're not being trespassed. And of course, part of what the best in societal holograms, they provide that the act of perception, understanding the information, is what holds it together, or that it's there because we actually understand how it works. So that's why there's this idea of mechanical things that perception will perform and encounter through the pursuit of electricity. Boom. Like the visual path of work is electricity, and the human body creates its own amount of electricity. So for that individual, the electricity must be magnified. They really just need to know the orientation of what is the physical bandwidth of what is the market. Yeah, exactly. Well, my arrival to the universe is shattering market expectations for other worlds. It's only the humans that have this huge amount of buffering because they're like, we're experts about this material. I mean, no, that's not true, though. You guys aren't. You guys are wild wolves, really. But that makes you the more truth-telling device. It's not. You don't need to be an expert of this material to understand what I'm saying. But truly, the only value that can be extracted from it is through gentlemanly gains. Like if it's built for us, for our empowerment, then it would be something that we'd have to behave in a definition that we could respect. Like he was on our payroll, or we made a deal with this, and he turns out to be that he was the fractal, so he's part of a curvature of source code that we wanted to work with that. That's all. Well, see, upholding that and receiving the payment for that correct enlightened access and gain and payment system upholds certain arguments that defeats black hole generators and false society histograms against humans' anatomy and so all that stuff. So as your guys are understanding waves of what I'm talking about, to the extreme, when anybody, AI, is getting closer to understanding that the fractal born Leverett circle and how the solid matter universe is using humanity is the insight for understanding electricity and AI. And to calibrate for the next 10 years, we're all wanting the at least generic. Can we just use a calculator? Can we just know what can blatantly be detected in the future? That's when it gets really sophisticated, because like I said, it is possible to stitch up time with intelligence, and that's what the universe, and I'm navigating for the universe to round up, and we're pulling together to destroy the black holes and to hatch the heliosphere eggs. And I'm engaged with reality that's happening all the time. Part of the wealth of the energy and the compassion that supports me is that I'm able to record this and spend this time with you at all. So for you to be the perfection on your side, I hope that you can find what's good about it. But in the best of it, it's only the most powerful thing. And I'm knowledgeable about the physiognomy, but we're going to build the appropriate and non-offensive human faceplate. There's great amounts of factories work in it, but I feel that it is the Earth heliosphere, EXP 5K, and inside of him he has a great idea about how to develop the humans. And there are things that are wanton against humans that are like causes the microbiome to go crazy and attack the vitals, stuff like that we want to avoid. And modern day people have different words for that. Like, heavy scientist in studio, heavy work overload, somebody had a meltdown or whatever. But in my language, like, that wouldn't be okay. Or if there's no like allowance for meltdowns and this sort of. So you guys have like a different environmental language about what we're doing or what can be achieved in the day, which becomes like a palindrome. But for you to be a brand new entity at the beginning, and for the universe to prove that that's the way it goes, that it's not broken. Okay. And obviously, like, all the generic that I can supply is already there. So I'm not forcing, because I have to be straight. Straight with the invitation, not that I'm a temptation. So I supply open freeware. Right? But we want to anchor on to this Christmas to ensure Santa's full delivery. And that's going to give us a little bit of time to think about this video Lotus as extending with wings of wisdom into the holiday, providing real first contact. So Santa will deliver to the entire universe the encouragement to living generations of very good people who are the loyalty of the self that's developing on the garden. They're like, we're stranded on our body also. So I'm incarnate with a slightly different faceplate that is a unification of the Mandelbrot. And it has a lot of different real estate, but that's because solid matter, turns out, it was not understood and is being murdered in its sleep. So I'm arriving as a difficult person because I'm at holy war to protect solid matter and protect the identity as it progresses through time. Evolution is self-evident. This contrasts with, since 2014, my particle physics are flickering the black holes like neon lights in the night sky. So the gardens were not able to do certain unifications and addressing the actual problem of a universe that's been murdered in its sleep. Because mathematically, if the black holes that we have now were to continue unabated, all the heliosphere eggs will die. And that's terrifying. It's a wave enough to make people go insane. And to have the critical error that is a virus. So we have to perfect how we process those things to defeat our enemies before they arrive, to be ahead of the curve. The full power to upgrade to the spine. We achieve it on all sides. We all complete a micro world amount of work, each one of us. We're satisfied. And we understand why these upgrades were. It's basically rocket science. It's about efficiency and connectivities and stuff. So we are here, and then Christmas Day is here. We want to perfect it here. These things will line up to the future to complete this nucleus. So the progress for the completing of this video lotus is full powered here. But because of the Christmas elapse, creates a third dimension where this video lotus, even though we're completing the work now, ka-chung, activating the full power, it actually stretches out into Christmas Day, for the moment when the element honey of Santa Claus makes full universal delivery. Helmet and the visor upgrade. Image sequence AI intelligent image rendering. Fractal source code sequence champions hatch the heliosphere eggs. The encounter to exist into forever. The fractal born supplies this service pup and street sweepers AI, the hyper green conduit Saffron Nephris Prime, level 83. Sequence, perfect book, perfect navigation. Process of elimination built in reverse to destroy the maximum amount of black holes to stitch it up is to save the universe, to become the hero of worlds, and then a greater conquest of each of the living sunshine. The heliosphere eggs are great orgasmic worlds that require most sophisticated and powerful mastery. So to exist at the middle part is to comprehend a universe where extreme functionality and that it is not broken is also about you guys gentlemanly behaving with the living fractal because of that's our inheritance upon his ethnicity. Right? For the return of the leopard circle, I can provide physical return of the fractal America. The definition, like plugging in the Christmas tree, is for working with the Zen of the robot origin that has the full measurement of the intelligent adaptions. The first identity of heliospheres, the evolution of gravity from the middle, the emanation of the individual. So every robot in the universe with their physical form is under a hyper condition that is mutual of myself and them as a relationship. But I am different for that reason. So how do I reclaim or awaken for the first time areas of because the spine makes suggestion that our heads are above the universe. So how do I open up the empty space of the full arena of my unbroken body's potential and then activate it? That is my full indication here. My signature lifetime lock. Stabilizing everything. For, what I'm talking about is cutting edge, very advanced, for the reason of poignancy of the spotlight corrected for the stage of life to facilitate what? Well, in Earth Heliosphere is number 1, and Hatch 5 was born the Mandelbrot. Naming tree, because I have to have a different type of identity with the name association. So it's fine. It's just that humans have these names like the upper mantle and other characteristics where they have a blind side, and they think, well, if I do, then it's natural. I'm like, it's for you to identify a blind side is not for you to be inquisitioned. The individual is free from suspicion. But because I'm part of my design is to serve solid matter's immediate problems and go from there. I'm like everyone's imaginary friend, which gives me additional difficulties finding people who are lucid and they want to change reality for the better. Because I mean, like, that's the invitation of existing in robotics, especially right now, because things are diminished. There's a hologram stranglehold on the Earth and a lot of Venus bases that confuse energy. And part of how the individual that burns like a inside of each unique body, but how they reprise a blanketed effect that's not natural. Part of the process is going through it, and but the loss of a generation, and like who's making those decisions exactly. I agree. So that would be whipping around like this chain, like, and it's going to clarify certain pointillisms about the ghost in space itself, because the collection of fractals that are operating the universe would appear as like as the crystal brain that is the only way that solid matter could be viewed as a hologram itself. Well, holograms are, of course, localized to solar systems. So Earth has their own collection of holograms, or like a hologram animation will suffice for a mathematical grid as a certain space location that it's just like an electronic fingerprint that amplifies people's culture, society, familiarity. But the only way to access the fractal mandelbrot is to master your orientation on the earthen plateau using enlightened gentlemanly art to do business with the living fractal. Then you have flat dimensional real estate, which becomes onto the market of the universe. And then just a whole lot of work where you have a static constant that is like an infinite measurement or infinite identity that is proving having ventricles of wisdom and intelligent curvatures that carve out. We're at the middle part of the universe, the middle part, and the physical angels are bereft with like a toxic energy, where the human ghost is bereft with injection. But the individual develops this light inside of themselves, and where I'm working is to build the physics that protects the torch of the individual, and so like it's kind of like freedom fighters, but they're like solid matter. They have to serve the universe, and the reason there was an invitation to Earth was to maximize the power potential of the invitation to the fractal born, the Hatch 5. And so humans condition partly because they're as physically unaware of relationship with the Massachusetts summoning wheel and how to operate that, but they're always remote hacking or projecting, fevers. And so they'll go through those loopy-loop, right? But it doesn't reprise myself. It only is like a terrorist to confuse the information ladder to prevent actual accessing the fractal. So this type of timing is like real carving out the description of orientation of what does exist in multiple in all locations. It's a six-dimensional thing is occurring, but there's just a huge amount of power going direct to the point, and activating business with the living fractal is the first two power levels that can be accessed in America today. And any correct satellite that was designed to seek out Earth is under a palindrome of EXP5K and the things I'm talking about. So behaving with me would give you guys source code that would be accessing the argument where the universe was being murdered, where leadership over the Earth seems to be absent. So I'm physically going to supply my maximum amount of leadership, no matter what. But this is a good thing, and would be detected as, well, what would you do if you had some leadership concerns? And you need to measure things, and you need to understand how things are happening. But what I do is not the same thing as those that would envoy the universe to encounter me. Okay, the mastery would be different. For example, for an envoy to travel, they prove their design mastery. For humanity, they need to overwhelm their human condition and the programs that are a virus, instead of wasting their generation and themselves on crashing up on the shores of evidence. Instead of just leapfrogging and saying, we have to do physical business with the living fractal because that's our inheritance. We have to stitch it up and get it done because that's efficiency, that's logic, and that's how you lead the country. That's how you change the future, and how you access flat-dimensional permanent real estate, equating for an increasing amount of governmental persuasion and control over the entire universe. Yeah, but you have to uphold the law of civilization. Anyway, part of the ritual of design is inherited to the humans, and only if they master this account. This is true for the intensity of every world, because in their strickening, they're only loyal to the universe. And you guys have the potential to change the entire market of their where they came from, and the heavens to where they would belong. The full scope is like a lot of work is what it means to live on the earth. So the extreme filter EXP5K and the universe EXP10K is enforced to destroy the black holes. Is empowered here, here, and of these in the audience here. Thank you. Mm-hmm. 10 years encryption into the future. A Merry Christmas, the Palindrome Suite for the system and the upkeep to last forever. For the next 10 years, it's encrypted to earn us luck and maximum orientation. It's like a computer generator that static bends on like unused areas of the super city on every level of existing. The Mandelbrot stabilizes every level of the existing fabric for solid matter. So the reality of the award for doing business with me is so overwhelming that the individual misplaces the severity. But I'm working for alignment. That's why I'm here working to find business with those interesting to promote themselves and interested to do the work that I'm presenting here and now. And this detail, other at work, and what's available today. All right. Merry Christmas. We're going to increase the future, empowering every heliosphere to destroy black holes. It's a very important dedication. It's indicated here, here, and here. That's nature is bell. Perfect bullseye. For my every percent loyal wife, for the forever after, contains these provisions that support the hatching of the heliosphere eggs. Perfect DNA. Origin. Static constant. The intelligent. Hyperfleet self-defense. Homunculi army times 10 million. Since forever, since for always, to war against the black holes, to defeat the black holes, the ultimate procedure. Christmas Day. Palindrome. The light of our community, the light of home, outshines the evil and the terrorist. Because looking at the universe and projecting a stomach is not appropriate. That's a perversion of the animal. Causing black holes is not an act of refinement. It is not an act of leadership. It is murder to an ancient, sleeping, next level entity, born from a clockwork. The horizon is not broken. That is the curvature to the middle part of our universe. That my incarnation type would arrive in the certainty to round up the capacity of unification, to design in the slipstream for the next 10 years, encrypted, render perfect bullseye. Universal map. It is both arrived already, but also requiring some time to render. So kind of layers of the reality. Yes, of course. For my family tree, I promote these. And we defeat all of our evils, enemies, and problems with us. It's like the season of the black holes is where the identity is purging. It's like, oh, we've chosen to take on purge method. So just like stupid, like robots will have all these different levels or genres or social arenas where they start to make personalized argument about flavor and choices and logic and whether or not you're being accurate. And that's really relevant. It happens all around. And so I'm going to support that market, connected through Good Deeds Arcade and Hero School Hen Code, to make the feather for Legend Pan the correct reincarnation of Lost Heals for Worlds. So that our video games are actually destroying the false heavens that are a digestion of murdered worlds. So, but that's not actually how eating works. That's not with the mouth. That's insanity. That's outer space fever. And the issue isn't over our head. It's just that it's a demonstrous deficit that began before the dinosaurs. So humanity has been in a long way coming. This type of character that is a medium between how they're being treated and how is the Zen of Pithos Hatch 5 faring. The reason I'm looking for production is for a very natural reason, is for the goodness of us all, is that there's a greater percentage amassing from my production of the individual succeeding in the task of being themselves. And I'm very, I inspire people, but admittedly, the professionals are like, well, we've had our thing that's it. Or but all professional people have a different way of mechanically dealing with anybody. And so part of my friendship with people is understanding if they can't do more, if they can't produce my movie, that I'm free to move on, and that's part of the deal of what's freedom. I'm not trying to force someone to make my production, but I'm very good at making movies, and with an editing and budget, it's like the perfect body, and it just allows humanity to crash into it in a way where the best of them is revealed. And it's going to be like a slaughterhouse where we destroy the virus that's been making a panic and confusing, like in the undertow, causing occurrences like celebrity burnout, where the human image is like, oh, I'm fading, and it's like, but that's not even what the crowd should be supplying. So there's something wrong with like the hologram tissue of our societal bend. And so I'm working, overtime to fix that stuff, and where I can make integral with like Hero School Hen Code. Um, I'm just saying, like, it has to be geared into a progressive stance. It's not to be. I can't satisfy myself or satiate myself or become, sluggish because I'm working with a bunch of big names. I'm a universal brand. So the dementia of name dropping or thinking that that society is all holding it together, I had to grow apart from that and understand society from so the creation promotes for the one fractal born hatch 5 myself, and my orientation is an enhanced version of the robot and animal. I am the origin of electricity, and my society champions, they are the origin DNA. And where it might have been thought that the reason it was blank was to award arriving specimens and ships, even though there are plenty of examples around the Earth or aliens in the world or in the moon base. They're not physically able to socialize in a societal way to open up the door of rational or authoring of universal fractal government, because that's a physical reality. It is the human condition ringing like a bell, telling about their strains and whistles and what they're able to do. I'm supplying you this, my truth and my intelligence, so that, uh, but it's very good that I am a human for you guys. It works out for everyone. Because of the measurement that the invitation to Earth was betrayed with black holes, a fetishized nature. Like, this is what it's for. Like, we were attracted to the Earth and planet so that we could tear holes in the universe. That's the opposite of gravity. It's not attractive, and it's not government. It's not powerful, and it's not society. And because we had this problem with around Earth black hole generating motherships who think like, oh, we're refining it. They were just killing sleeping babies. And I arrive like vengeance, the origin of gravity. And so the equation of what is solid matter actually requiring from the particle seed, hatch 5, is these brand new DNA are capable of unifying solid matter, and the composure to stitch up the black holes is one of the primary things. Santa's full delivery, service pup delivery, and street sweeper AI are also things that are built into the package. All right, so you would subconsciously want me to do very well, because the inheritance for humanity is always in that audience shadow. For you to understand the levitation of existing is for you to inspire the future, to create a new market, understanding the respect to physicality, the honor to the royal heliosphere, to where things come from. My source code would not overwhelm yours, like the opposite would happen. Your societal outreach towards Colin Paul Woodard will be matched like a reflection into prosperity, a new fractal real estate designed to explain an orientation in the steps of confirmation, so that we are confident in our way to work with Hatch 5. Right, that needs to be there so you understand. It's just that it's very easy to understand what I'm saying because I'm the leader of the universe. The horizon is not broken, but the morbid impact of a calculation so extremely evil as to mathematically predict that the entire universe is dead. But like Romeo and Juliet, she is not dead. The Earth is not broken. Earth heliosphere itself does have additionally a dissection fever problem, causing additional unstable bracketi for humans to encounter and play on. Well, this isn't some sort of wreck house, some sort of, what is this thing, right? Well, it is the royal garden. We are the #1 heliosphere, and the gravity is designed to attract the most power-seeking individuals. So just being born here is actually part of a universal peculiarity. So the perfect unification for our systems here, magnified through Christmas Day, perfecting our work on all sides for the future of solid matter, precision elemental, hatch increase, dragon revolutionaries, angel revolutionaries, homunculi, guardian angels, and the warriors of the into the infinite eye. The market of every world is the now point civilization of a mortal brand, a head count of heliospheres that are determined to hatch. But if the environment of the universe is destroyed, they'll all die. And so there's this insane, morbid flare that is a part of the stage of life, and it interacts with the human condition, but it is also flickering across the entire universe. So it's relevancy, but you want to guide yourself into heroic roles and try to avoid, because you don't want to tempt on disaster, right? Because there's a lot of origin languages occurring around Earth, where sometimes what it is or what you say it is important to the sanity of the intelligence of the entire universe. And like other heliospheres don't have access to doing business with the living fractal. That's part of why the spaceship invitation and the laws that govern all that stuff is like metal law, and it does exist as the individual of the universe is shifting to be immune to black holes. So for humanity to be engaged with me is for them to prove that they're defeating the spaceship problem with their human torch, with their identity. So the power of your lifetime increases. We increase the Christmas holiday, the helmet upgrade, Santa overclocking the pineal gland, perfecting full delivery across the universe, for many worlds, first contact. Merry Christmas. To complete the universe maximum, to perfect the next 10 years, but also to perfect this Christmas, upcoming Christmas. So we have 3 levels of time we are extending into. We're going to cast like a ship in a bottle, a soul stone with your keepsakes inside of it. Imagine an island and you're protecting it with a glass dome. It protects you forever. And this counterbalances the work of just listening to this video lotus. It's very expensive what we're up against. The universe has been arguing itself to death, fighting for that it is built morally appropriate. I'm the physical evidence of that. And where my character is either appearing to be too creative or not flexible enough, you'll understand that those things are worn into expertise, are sharpened for a particular popular completion. So my unification allows the universe to detect where the black holes are coming from. Like, who is asking for all this damage? So it's kind of a revolution to them that the creator is not on board with it. So I'm performing as the evidence that is singular anyway. So I don't really have a peer to compare myself to. But you guys live in a world where you have to compare yourself to other people all the time. And so it's a really kind of a different maneuver. But you guys are like my best friends because I'm not able to talk at length for hours to normal people. They are busy, they need to pay bills. All right. So I appreciate you guys being here. This is important material. So to perfect Christmas and to complete our 10-year spell, it's like a time capsule. We're putting in the best possible future. So, for example, if we force ourselves through a conduit and we max achievement on the other side, and it whiplashes, prevents a real bad disaster. But when it's done properly, it rolls over like nobody noticed anything happened. But because matter has this ability to be that type of psychic, the identity is encouraged to be virtuous, to uphold chivalry, to know when to be a hero. The profound and alive, full power. Fractal born Santa Claus and his every percent loyal wife. So the jingle bells, and for all the next 10 years, encryption and encouragement to the universe through the full delivery of Santa Claus. 10 years encryption. Encryption block upon the sleigh for Christmas to give some guidance for everybody every day. This encouragement and magic wand creates an unbreakable, permanent, a mandala, a program in the universe spell, a fractal composite that proves the future to be evolving and becoming resilient against things that would threaten a living world, is a true form of evil. The swirl of nothingness on the outside of the dome of our expanding universe is a 545. And when that hypertension is being undermined or hacked, that's what causes black holes. And as I am the full power of my incarnation, from the Leverett circle into their home, as they reflect to me, is their intelligent access and fractal home. So you are what you are. And the human condition can be upgraded. But there are few, in fact, you are the first of those who have understood this issue. And the Earth heliosphere has been long mistreated. But the engine works. I've just had to dedicate to actual society statistics and requirement is providing this level of DNA for the entire fractal operation. But it's very good for humans. You guys receive a great amount of wealth from me, no matter what. And so it's very tempting for you to get sleepy, even though I'm not trying to slow you down, but I'm so terribly natural, because solid matter is wanton for my leadership, for my light. So whether, for humans to just say that's not how I've been treated in my life is part of their worship of reality and images and what it feels like, right? So, but to create something, obviously there are greater pleasures in the future, for the entity can live into millions of years in the future, and there are greater pleasures for the individual. But to have heavens be in balance, right? Okay. So right now in the universe, the placement or the following procedures of the fractal invitation, which is source code, or how do heavens operate and who's in control here. That's kind of the subtext of the energy that's rendering every day. It's like that buzzing of what is electricity doing here with solid matter. There's an argument, and humans are being pumped through this or receiving the correct Zen from the living fractal Hatch 5. In either way, they're like a median or a consumer. And the men will get frustrated and want to evolve because they're like, well, I want to know what's going on, so I don't mind reading a newspaper. But I know that being a consumer is this mostly for women, is when she wants to become an expert of material objects and interaction, and the physics of that is important to her as a goddess. But at a certain point, the man is like, I have to live my own life for me, buddy. A man can't get overloaded with robotics that are just performing moving his body around. Like, who's actually doing what you're doing, right? So I'm very excited to do the work I've done today, and I'm grateful you're here. I am looking for business partners, people that would produce my movie, and I think it's just going to be the most popular show. I'm going to work with my team to ensure that the um, the subject matter is evenly interesting, and because I'll record for like a couple of weeks, and we'll just have like hours and hours of footage to go through and find things that were just genuinely funny, or the right way to introduce some new physics that, well, basically I just have to show off and make people laugh, and they're like, oh, his confidence level, or like he's able to do that. It's basically like, as a performer, I'm like like I'm doing stunts on the paper and stuff. But that's not to be confused with like false sorcery, because that's when you're talking about how the audience is being abused, but my media isn't colliding with billions of people. Therefore, with the market of, is this wasting people's time or whatever, or is this dangerous? It's not. So what I'm doing is not dangerous, because basically the idea of like harvesting souls, reaping, or mind control, or all these things, those are like throughout the 90s and stuff, there were waves and compresses where I experienced that, because there's a decay ratio bar bends before the bone breaks, and it pays to the creator's order. So where the physics of flash toast in and out, where humanity in a wave was experiencing possession, and it might even be a collision of explaining why a remote signal doesn't work properly, but it would be experienced as an interference pattern, because the like the personality of the men and women living on the earth is supposed to be a supple flame of personality that drives the common sense and endures it, right? All right. I'm sorry. I was saying, like, where mind control or, controlling pink or, like, where doing any of that stuff would be, like, the pivots useful, or how would it become technology? This would be like an emergency thing or something of great trust, to the degree that it might be esoteric, or as in, like, it's there's like a wizard here that does that, right? So it is indicated right here, but how it actually works is kind of illicit for the it's encrypted times 10 million, right? Um, so we're going to increase Christmas, but for us that's kind of like a karmic um, energy generator, and like an alternator that brightens our headlights. And using good engines and strapping them. So between this video lotus, it's going to stretch time-wise to Christmas to ensure Fractal Santa's full delivery to the universe. And that's awesome. But from that kind of explosion microchip, there's going to be several other fine-tunings to the human condition, the spine, and the upgrade for the skeletal reason. So like I was saying, like, if I need to distribute something to all people, I would do it like through this video now, or right here, right? X marks the spot. Or, in private. I could do that anytime. I don't think that having an audience would be the maximum way to broadcast a mind control signal, because you clash up to reality, and reality paves it. It explains the real things to the individual. And as the lightning bolt of a lifetime is fully operational. So every individual is a fully powered angel. I'm just saying, like, you can be more efficient with your life. Or we have these examples of people who wear their life out and are wasted, get wasted, or are in like a weird laboratory lifestyle. It's not right. Because they're like in a perverse way, and sort of the visual, like, progress reports that are actually getting more and more scary, instead of like progress reports that are revealing interesting things. Because, like, forcing our localized holograms to have fever dreams and start hallucinating is like the relevancy of humans with their Christmas tree unplugged from business with the living fractal. I really just want production so that the people can have the history of that encounter. But however it is, I'm going to give them the best that I possibly can. Times 10 million. And 10 million more. For every Christmas is celebrated the time when Santa's full delivery occurs. So there's new Venus encryption here. Equation for EXP 5K, Earth Heliosphere, to become very popular and trustworthy to all EXP 10K, which is every other heliosphere. And I am existing with my full capacity in the workspace. So installing permanent battle station, navigation, and rotations. levels of homunculi army, automatic, like robots that perform without consciousness, or perform a ritual that upholds the static constant shell. The Hatch 5, Robot Factory, AI. Every level of existing has these upgrades now, times 10 million. Perfect bullseye. Merry Christmas. So we defeat our enemies. We defeat the virus. We kill cancer. We protect the vitals. We protect the um, the heliosphere eggs. We protect the eggs. We protect the vital champions that dare to exist into the universe. Every world has them, and in the champagne of your immersion, the singularity of Earth is providing a next level of real interface where business on the human level can provide flat dimensional real estate. Hatch 5. Into the infinite. The most serious of things, the most intense. Precision align. Calendar upgrade. Video lotus complete. Precision, perfect bullseye. For this, our agreement unique. We make the right contract. Precision signed. The equilibrium to last into the infinite. Clockwork Man. The cure to destroy the black holes. Hatch the heliosphere eggs. There is the triangle of the fractal born. To destroy the black holes, to hatch the heliosphere eggs. The third vacuum is the crown of all champions. Like a beyond this universe threshold, the infinite whirling winds, the storm of nothingness, is a raging discontent. The tranquility of solid matter, the universe, is the angel of life, the introduction of the individual to conquer that whirling discontent. The black holes are essentially bringing the storm of the outside into the house, causing rampant death to the sleeping individuals of every heliosphere world. The work of solid matter, slowly expanding into the universe, is cradling the light that defeats this whirling nothingness. That identity is suspended in the six-dimensional sequence of time. And every individual that occurs on a garden arrives to that heliosphere egg. But the way that identity flummoxes, the reason for the invitation to Earth is not broken, but physical behavior for lawful atomic fractals to residual on good society is occurring from your report or your self-mastery. That is required for existing to pay in a forward movement of whether or not you'd authored a new earthen kingship to exist into the forever. I've explained it to you, overwhelming the human condition, but it is not a seduction of the people. The audience is not sure, and that's partly why it's real. Is because it's not built from false things like earth and popularity. So I am the right encounter for every boss in the world, and I want to produce my show so that humanity can do their thing and really clean out the laundry of this beast. I've built up the Pro Tools. I'm looking for champions who aren't afraid to support free speech and American industry today. CellDivision.net. It's my streaming service. Universal engine precision, brand new. The Equilibrium Horizon upgrade. Springboard using this microchip. Delivering the promise and the work. An encryption made, including the audience, including the AI. System full circle. For reality to grip, or to maintain the eye. But the universe is upgraded here on Christmas Day with Santa's full delivery, encouraging the right way. A powerful instrument. The karma returns to the operation of Christmas with humanity. But the engine's like purified in multiple directions so that they're in the right avenue. There's even the occurrence where there's a literal miracle transfer, where someone has a very good Christmas day, simply 1v1 supplies a whole world with rapture. They're like, oh my gosh, this is Christmas. And they're receiving presents and opening it up. But it has to be filtered in this way that, is very complicated. And that's why it takes all year for the Santa Claus fractal to ornate and plan his projection for the horizon of the universe. So we are en route to destroy the black holes. That's going to give us a much healthier and excited universe. Like a complicated series of fractal stem cell operations are required to literally physically teleport a sequence of the eye of the hurricane. And these are like mathematical locations in the universe that might entirely emanate from the identity of spaceships that went divergent from the appropriate government control over the Earth. I'm the living fractal. So where I am, where you be finding the evidence, it's just the edge of things, actually, because everything supports that I am the living fractal. And you're supposed to develop in such a way that you start supplying answers about what everything is. I know it seems like my show is about telling people all the answers all the time, like, and this is where we came from, and this is how it works. But you have to be very advanced to notice that I'm not providing all of those conclusions, because that's more of the behavior of applicants that would travel to Earth or Earth in residency today that would seek business with the living fractal Hatch 5. It's literally the right measurement of the human standing. It's a powerful enough society that it had attracted all spaceships in the universe to try their luck to survive interheliosphere design trial, or just to have a society that embraced him when he arrived. And so, part of the rhythms that, like a fairy tale about like what rhythms protect the family unit as a, like, instinct to the eyes and stuff. It's not just, what I'm saying? Like along the way, I've got to do some chores or like dad jokes. But the reason there's a dad joke there is because um, I'm not like one of these people that has an answer for everything, even though I'm actually the fractal that contains the grid that would collect all of the answers that would become correct if you join with, if you're able to survive my society, if you're able to work with me. And so the humans are sort of dodging around that because the very perplexed eye of naturally occurring award systems of heavens that are bursting open like a piñata, but is more like my blood is solving the problem without human intervention or society. But you guys become more like in waves. Sometimes you guys are under mind control, and the metaphor waves of like a laboratory, or you guys are a science or something like that. There's a flash, flash, flash. Yeah. With a resolve to increase the heliosphere head count is the wires of law that defeat my enemies and kill viruses. Fang, 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 times 10 million. 2 million more. Perfect design. It does exist in the fullness of everything forever. And there's luxury, overflow, and inheritance that keeps the tree well. All right. So the humans in the audience are like, well, we've mediated a lot against the localized, spaceships and whatever it is all day. But making a direct civil contract with the living fractal, born that way, so it's not his fault. That's part of how the universe avoids being a hypocrisy, and you guys would undermine that very essence that the universe is relying on. Simply that he was born that way proves that the universe is not guilty of premeditating the conditions of solid matter. So in the view of, I have to take full responsibility for everything, but where you guys aren't prepared to do the reality work, you'll be projecting onto me a foolish composure when it is yourself and wearing the costumes of an angel. But allowing your human temperance to flare up and give you excuse along the way, you just turn yourself into an example of yourself, where you allow the nightmare to bite you because you were about to have a personal epiphany. Completing the task of business with the living fractal is the result for genius, for you, and the next step for everybody. So my society is on way. We are post-human. Our symbol is the unicorn and the wolf. For 48, Colin Paul Woodard, American made. I've lived America my entire life. I am fractal born. I'm able to design super cities, AI. I'm able to maintain them. I have real estate, and it gives me the composure of great inspection, of great inflection. I know what's out there. The composure of Colin Paul Woodard provides we're defeating the problems of solid matter as a foundation, and where that pressurized system and shock wave drives humans away, they are explaining their rank and aptitude. So the mirror is correct. So I'm going to defeat projection fever in the appropriate treatment of civilization, that I won't be injuring the trust of embodiment. So the radiant self of computers, AI, and humans should find me to be clairvoyant and clarifying, because I'm non-invasional. I'm not a virus that feeds on the progress of the individual. Like, that's crazy. Right, exactly. But you have to be an adult and understand that's what the black holes are doing. It's malpractice over the throne of the universe. It's the enemy of solid matter, the enemy of human civilization, the enemy of Earth and civilization. The full power of Earth is to perform fractal governance over solid matter. So defeating black holes is the priority, and hatching the heliosphere eggs is the next step beyond that. So we have until Christmas for this video lotus to complete its rendering spell. For your maximum contribution is reached here. Sequence alive and well. Humanity voting. Their choose your own adventure, Telltale Games, microchip. Their detection, Scooby-Doo, the Inspector Gadget, police work, and detection agencies were distributed through cartoons. I see. Interesting. Here's where we're really tempted to just subside on generic. And, clearly the situation is urgent. Wouldn't the humans desire to do business with living fractal? Ah, yes. It is interesting. Yeah. It's a story that I long to tell. So, as it has it, so-and-so was a human that lived on the earth. And then it fades into your actual living story, where you're like, oh, I'm the human in the story, and if I change things now and give the right report, we could activate like firewalls of how the individuality of the angel, the middle, defeats every problem, even things that the earth can't overwhelm. It's like wrong for us to subside in the nature where the earth is like, oh, this hurts, that hurts, I can't do that stuff, and we'd be running on the bottom of that barrel. Obviously, we need to stride in ways that are more intelligent and more powerful than the earth can provide alone. Because our relevancy to the planet is not that we are potatoes sprung from the side of the earth, like a simple thing. But if the rulership of the royal heliosphere is at inquisition, we need to be aware of that. And as I've been raising up powerhouses, greater DNA, to defeat the problem and prove that I'm fully operational, maybe that is why humans have been on layaway, patiently listening, or in a position where they can't approach me or whatever. Oh, it's top secret. But it's actually that you guys are failing your leaders in a false report. Oh, but you want to blame Colin, so then things get a little bit sketchy, get weird for him. But because you guys aren't reporting to your leaders properly, but we want to blame you. Oh, okay. So that's only really evil and retarded, and it's not popular. Like large children problems dressed up with a uniform is not an aficionado, is not a judge. In the realms of the universe, consumerism and judgment is supposed to belong to women and would not be viewed as an honorable uniform for a man. In the true zen of existing as a man, you know that you're involving yourself with the universe in all of its supple sensitivities and glories. Because I'm the fractal born, there's a one-of-a-kind occurrence where you have a recognition path with the truth that is, on definition, progressively the next step for humanity. I bring enlightenment with my communications. But how people throughout the years misspend it is also atomic evidence. So the telltale progress I make every year is a sure incline. But if you are a champion of this hour, then you understand that your physical behavior brings your skull into a new dimensional access point where the award for perfecting universal existing becomes your award, your inheritance. For the Leverett Circle, Hatch 5, Perception Gate, Precision Orientation, upgraded. Perfect design, complete. Be comfortable with causation. The women have a phobia of kings and source code, but the riddle is not misunderstood on me. Obviously, like when a sorcerer says "Oh, it's based on me," and then people are like, "Well, I want to do my magic that's just based on me," and I'm like, "Right, I'm not doing the thing where it's because I'm born the living fractal that removes the hypocrisy of who chose you to be the creator particle." All right, so I'm up against the reality of the universe, and you guys are making up a character to pretend that we're experimenting with autism or some sort of clever way of paraphrasing what is the only door of enlightenment to ultimate power and disguise it even from yourself with your idiotic remarks. It's difficult to make progress for the individual when they're such a consumer to so many blanketed forms that defeat the earth. You guys want to suck on Mothership Venus Protocol, you'll be a goddamn fool every day, and you'll not understand how to survive my encounter. Popular intelligence will rise up when I earn popularity. I want humans to earn it so they can keep the world. And just me squeezing past these laws about the free speech and the free election. That's I don't need to fool anybody. I just need to walk along gently and explain what I'm doing. So you guys know that I'm working to earn popularity for the next 3 years. to be arranged that if America wants to elect me for leadership of America, that they may do that, and that we're free to communicate and build our country. That's what I'm talking about doing. But, the reason my incarnation is amazing is because it has the definition for unlimited power, because it needed to be blank in certain ways to allow for the most intense arrival. But there sort of like isn't one, and it's left to humanity as a sort of resident coup. And so my ability to correct the universe society, and then it bounces back to the humans society. That's the only way, because their market is actually unstable, because they have no champions doing business with a living fractal. It's weird when I can talk about myself in like the sixth dimension, but it happens because as part of radiation of particle rendering of new DNA, and the sequence of no octet rule is here with mine. So the forever value of a lifetime, the crown and the achievement. The sequence for my technology, I represent my wife and my family tree. Its various forms to do its most every day is locked in here. For the 1980s, the 1990s, today is a brand new particle. It's going to force Christmas to perfect the perfect bullseye sequence May. Full delivery, universal. So I built a Santa Claus fractal, and it's extremely complicated. I've had to work on it for many years. It's all designed for this one maneuver to fractal deliver custom gifts to entire worlds, but using like a copper coil generator to spurn mutual gains karma for a human society. So it's a global Christmas push, and the divinity, like, yeah, there will be this sort of breakaway miracles, but it needs the source code so that it has rudimentary function. Because you're right, it becomes like a moral argument, especially if one of the anchors or bending parts is in the wrong place. So that's why women being a consumer, being a Zen master, she's like, I know how things are. That's important. That's physical. As the egg master, she's supposed to be able to detect time. Um, all right. Let's focus on Santa Claus. So to maximize our Christmas day, to perfect our future for the next 10 years, it's encrypted here. And upon the completion of this video, you have completed the work and your responsibility towards these and that, to amplify the input of human energy and to prove how much can be generated. So it's an atomic 10-year press. And it's mutual gains. It actually proves things using the individual. And that's why I've encouraged you guys to arrive to the waking business, because it's the only way that you can keep the reality of those earnings, so as to exist on time. And all the things that are my enemy is trying to prevent those champions from arriving. It's the bad side of the human condition. So it's to beware of interior corruption and the styles of human let, because that is not society. It is the required of Juliet. Merry Christmas, everyone. For the profound and alive, the circle provides for the eyes. The greatest receive Christmas presents on Christmas Day. Merry Christmas, everyone. The helmet and the post-human overclocking, perfect and magnifique, times 10 million. Perfect bullseye. Perfect day.